So let's kick things off by creating a new part file in Inventor. For this tutorial and for all of the tutorials in this series, I will be using Autodesk Inventor Professional. If you're following along, just ensure that you're not using Inventor View, as it does not have the same features and capabilities. Now, Inventor has 4 main file types. They have parts, assemblies, drawings, and presentations, which you can see on the home screen here when you open up the program. We're going to start with looking at parts. Now, a part is a single solid feature. Let's take a look at an example of a part file. So if we take a look at this file, you can see that this is just one solid piece. There's no connecting pieces in this file. Nothing swivels, nothing moves, nothing turns, nothing locks. One piece. Let's take a look at another piece. So this is also one solid piece. So it was designed as a single solid part file because all of this would be firmly connected together. When you're designing a complex assembly, you would design each of these pieces as a separate part file, and then you would later combine it into what's called an assembly. So you would start by creating all of these single solid features. Now, how do you go about by starting a new part file? Let's take a look at that home screen again. So you can either click on the part button on the home screen here, which will open up the default part template. Now you want to be careful about this. You have no idea, if this is your first time opening the program, what template is locked in as this default button. So what I would suggest, until you do custom settings on your own program, is to go up to the New button in the top left-hand corner. So you're going to find the New button where my mouse is circling, and we're just going to click on that. When you click on the New button, it's going to open up the Create New File pop-up. You're going to expand the folders on the left-hand side so that you're looking at the 3 different types of units they have available to us here. So just make sure you click that little down arrow so that your screen looks like mine on the left-hand side here. Now we're going to be looking at the English folder and the metric folder in this tutorial. So the difference between the English folder and the metric folder are the units that these templates are set up in. The English folder is set up with imperial units, so you will be looking at inches and feet. So each of these file types on the right-hand side where my mouse is circling around, these are set up in imperial units with inches and feet. If I was to click on the metric folder now, each of the file types on the right-hand side here are set up in metric units. So millimeters, meters, centimeters, and so on. So before you open up your file, you need to know what units your design is going to be created in. You choose the corresponding folder, either English or metric, and then you move your mouse over to the right-hand side to choose which template you want to open. So for example, if I want to open up a brand new part file in inches, so that my design is in inches, I would click on the English folder, come over to the right-hand side, and then I would take a look at the subheadings on the right-hand side. You can see at the top here, the very first subheading is Parts. The next subheading is Assemblies. The next subheading is Drawings. And then the final subheading here is Presentations. So again, those are the 4 main file types you create in Inventor. We're going to go to the Part subheading and take a look at the options. Underneath the options here, we have a sheet metal option and a standard option. When you're creating a brand new part for the first time, unless it is a sheet metal part, you will be clicking on the standard option, and that's what we're going to be working with for now. So click on the standard, and in brackets it has IN, which stands for inches, .ipt. So all part files have the file extension .ipt, which stands for Inventor Part. Then you're going to come down to the very bottom, and we're going to click on Create for right now. So when you open up your brand new part file, this is what your screen should look like. You have a blank gray area here in the center, and this is your graphics window. This is where you will be creating all of the designs in your brand new part file. Now if we want to open up a part file in metric now, so let's go through both steps here. So I'm going to come back to my home page, and let's open up a part file in metric units here, just for comparison. So again, I'm going to come up to the top left-hand corner and find that New button. I'm going to open up the Create New File dialog box, And this time, because my design is going to be in millimeters, I'm going to come down to the metric folder here. I'm going to move over to the right-hand side, find the part subheading, and you'll notice there are different options with different templates attached to them now. Find the standard millimeter.ipt. So that's a really nice way for you to check that you're clicking on the correct standard.ipt file, whether it's IN for inches or MM for millimeters. Once you find the standard millimeters.ipt, move your mouse to the bottom, and I'm just going to make a quick note. Just beside the Create button at the bottom here, you'll see that there's a Project File drop down here. When you're creating a new part file, you want to check that you're working in the correct project file, and we're going to talk about projects in depth in a later video. Click on the Create button and it will open up your brand new part file, this time in millimeters. Now let's take a look at the bottom here. I have two tabs here at the bottom, Parts 2 and Parts 3. Part 2 is the one I opened in inches, and Part 3 is the one I opened in millimeters. Now, how can you confirm which one you're working in and whether it's the correct units? So let's take a look at Part 2. I've selected Part 2. I'm going to move my mouse up to the very, very top here, and we're going to come over to the Tools tab. So at the very top of my ribbon where my mouse is, we're going to find the Tools tab. In Tools, you can check out your document settings, so the settings for this particular part file. Click on Document Settings, and then you're going to come to the second tab. So by default, it's going to open up on the Standard tab. You're going to click on the Units tab. In the Units tab, you can double check that you are working in the correct units for your design. Here we can see that the length is in inches, which is what we wanted for Part 2. So I'm going to click on Part 3. Again, I'm going to go to the Tools tab. I'm going to click on Document Settings. I'm going to click on Units, and we can see this time that the length is in millimeters. So we've opened up the correct part files and we are ready to start with our designs.